that should be here. I know the mayor was not going to be able to join us this morning, so we'll go ahead and open it up. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, December 7th. This is the West Hartford Public Safety Committee meeting. This meeting is also available for live viewing on the WHCI YouTube, and this meeting is virtual. So welcome everybody on this rainy Wednesday morning. As I was just sharing with the town manager, we are in December, so we'll welcome the rain as long as it's not snow or freezing rain or ice. I think we're all appreciative of that. Before I open it up, I was just sitting here just thinking about all of the tragic issues that have occurred just around the country in terms of violence and gun violence. It just seems to continue on and on. And I often think about you all as public safety professionals and your team and just the continuous hard work that you all just are continued to be faced with. In particular, I think about the baby who lost her life in Naugatuck and the long period of time it took to capture the father of all people for this senseless loss of life. I was away when this happened, and all I could think about is just the family, the baby, and everything that all of the public safety officials had to endure, especially when they finally caught the gentleman and took him down. So again, I just continue to applaud you all for all the hard work that you do, both PD and FD, because I know it's a continuous partnership, and you all really operate as a team. So again, I just salute you for what you do each and every day. I know it's your job. I know it's your passion, but I know also it has to take a toll on you because you're humans and also on your families. So again, I just want to say thank you for your service and all that you continue to do and to keep our communities safe, and also offer support to your fellow comrades in different towns and cities and just across the country. All right, so I'll call the meeting to order, and I'm looking at the agenda, and the second item on the agenda is business items. I don't know, Rick, if you have anything. I see that our agenda is relatively short this morning, but I don't know if you have anything to offer by the way of business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess it'd probably fall under communications more so than business,
Okay,
if we wanted to move to that
yep, so we
section of
can
the
move to
agenda.
that right now.
And you may recall at our last Public Safety Committee meeting, the question was posed as to requesting data on accidents on I-84, particularly around some of the construction that's been happening. So we wanted to share that out with the entire committee. And these numbers include all incidents which would that occur up on the highway. So most of them are probably motor vehicle accidents, but fire and police could be called up for car fires, medical calls, things like that. So to date in 2022, we have had this data is a couple of weeks old, so I will asterisk that, but we've had 48 calls to date in 2022 up on 84, as compared to 55 last year in 2021. We had 42 the year before in 2020, and we had 30 back in 2019. So certainly the last couple of years, we've seen those numbers trend up a little bit. And we talk about traffic safety around town, and we talk about the impact that the pandemic, I think, has had on driver behavior. Some of that could be related to that up on the highway as well. So I'll pause there and certainly turn over to the committee for any follow-up questions on some of that data.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Any questions or comments from any of the committee members? No. Counselor Davidoff?
Thank you. Mr. Town Manager, can you tell me again the number for this year?
So we're, through you, Madam Chair, Mr. Davidoff, we have 48 calls to date. But again, this date is a couple of weeks old, so certainly that number could be up a little bit from that number. And we had 55 last year.
Right. And yeah, I know in the last few weeks there have been several incidents with that. I was under the impression that the construction that we were doing uh, from when you get on from Route 9 to our Prospect Avenue um, exit was to make this area a lot more safe. Um, I don't know if those numbers reflect that. It really doesn't, because it's very similar to the number the year before. I think you said it was like 52 the year before. And it just seems like a very dangerous segment of the highway still. And I know that when we send our first responders there too, we're putting them in harm's way as well, because I don't know, people just don't seem to get the message to slow down, or to pay attention to a yield or something like that. Especially when I notice getting on South Main Street, and when people get on by the mall heading eastbound. So I don't know if we need to have further conversations with DOT with respect to that, but something's just not right with that. And I don't know if it's a result of the current status of the construction, but I just don't go that way anymore. It's just too dangerous, I think. And I think we had a fatality there, or in that segment this past week with somebody. So I don't know if it's a driver, um, drivers not paying attention, drivers following too closely, drivers on their cell phones. Uh, but it seems like some of these are not weather related. So that's my point. But I do really appreciate you getting that data. I think that's important to know and to realize. And I would stress that when we do respond there, that our personnel be protected in terms of their own personal safety. We just hear and see too much where distracted drivers aren't even paying attention to emergency vehicles assisting with an accident scene, or a motorist who's broken down. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Davidoff. Chief Priest does have a meeting coming up with the Department of Transportation, and certainly I think in that meeting he can make some queries into what DOT's is seeing in terms of accidents, not just right there, but certainly past and before as well, and see how that data may correlate with specific West Hartford data. You referred to the accident that occurred just a couple of days ago, tragic accident that occurred just over the West Hartford line, where I believe the truck driver had actually and I'll let the subject matter experts take over here, but I believe there was some early morning traffic, and the truck had plowed into the car in front of him, which created a cascading effect with multiple cars involved. But Chief Priest, I turn to you if there's any comments you'd want to make to some of my comments. You don't have to. If I have everything right, we're good. But thank you.
Sure. I'm glad to mark that, sir, that the accident did occur in Hartford. Our responders did go a little bit later into the incident. I can't comment on the specifics of it, but I have seen that same information that you have out there. But our responders were involved in supporting Hartford's efforts.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Cortez? Nope, you're all set.
No comment, Manager.
Okay, thank you. So, just a quick question, in terms of what you just mentioned, Rick and Chief Priest. When we do have the highway construction, and I'm pretty sure DOT is over that, and I'm gonna hope that this happens, is there some consultation with the town, public safety, in terms of um, schedule and impact on traffic and hazard conditions and some ways to prevent that. I'm imagining there's some type of team effort when a scheduled construction is about to occur. Does that happen?
I'll defer that to our chief. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, Madam Chair, it's great to have everyone in the room who may have information about that. As of right now, what we know is we're notified when there is a major impact to traffic, so a lane closure, an on or an off ramp closure. But as far as schedule of events, that is maintained separately by DOT.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there aren't any other questions or comments, we can move into staff reports. And I believe you're up, Chief Priest.
Good morning, everyone. So Chief Greg Priest, West Hartford Fire Department. I'm very pleased to be here in our new anteroom for the EOC, which is in fire headquarters adjacent to the police department, where our partners can come down and join us. As you can see, we're still working out the room, but we wanted to make sure that we had as many folks in as we can. So I just wanted to thank the town and the manager for the support in updating this conference room and modernizing our ability to do it. You can see the coloration of the room and everything is designed to be able to backdrop some of our television screens and information for that. So if you're wondering about the difference in the walls, and certainly we'll be looking to make some improvements so that we have a good meeting space and conduct our remote meetings. So going into my report, at first I'd like to welcome Councilor Davidoff back into the mix. Nice to see you, sir. It's been a while. We're all very happy. Everybody in the room is very happy. It's good to see you. I will move into, a couple of highlights from the written report, the usually exhaustive written report that I send. Now we're all in the same room, so you can hear him chuckling with us. But we do submit a fairly extensive report. We want to try and capture as much of the good work that happens. Obviously glad to answer any questions, but pick a few highlights for anyone who may be watching. So the first is we had a tragic structure fire earlier in the month on November 23rd, just prior to Thanksgiving. I would start by offering my condolences to the victim of the fire who ultimately perished after that. But it was not for the valiant efforts of the fire department and in coordination with the police department to try and do that. The victim was removed. We attempted resuscitation. And although it wasn't a good outcome, I would suggest that what I saw was a level of cooperation, teamwork, and training that should there be another incident where there was an opportunity for somebody to survive, it would have happened. So I'm very appreciative to all how the team came together with that. The unsung heroes in a fire sometimes are the investigators. So I would just like to give a little bit of a shout out to Chief Grimaldi, our fire marshal, and Detective Bonzagni and others from the police department, because we go out, we spray water, we rescue people, we bring them out, but then afterwards there's a significant amount of administrative work and very precise, detailed things that have to happen. So just a quick shout out to them. After we have an incident like this, our operations division and fire marshals and others go out and conduct what's called a post-incident neighborhood outreach, which is a program where we're trying to support and educate our community in the area. So we had about 10 smoke alarms handed out, as well as engaged over 30 citizens in the area, and always looking to improve. We will be partnering with the Red Cross, who was also out a few days after West Hartford Fire was out. We have some new personnel changes in our headquarters. I'd like to introduce Andrew Eccles. He's back there. He will wave. So Andrew is coming in as our community support officer, replacing Matt Traber. This has been an incredibly beneficial position for us, where we're engaging and outreaching with our community. So look forward to having him here. That's also paired with the return of Luis Enriquez, who is one of our firefighters, who's out on extended leave. He did a lot of projects for us. He will be missed, but looking forward to some of the changes. Wanted to thank those that were able to attend or memorialize our lost firefighters at the local 1241 memorial ceremony. It was the 20th anniversary of the passing of firefighter Patrick Brooks. So it was well attended, appreciated that, and my condolences to their family on their 20th year, but it's really nice to see them memorialized even this far away. If you recall from several meetings ago, we discussed some rope rescue training that was done under grant funding, and we received some equipment. It is nice to report that we had a fairly unique and unusual circumstance in town where that training and equipment was put to use, rescuing a civilian off of a elevated platform near a cell tower in the center of town. So it was great to see that. Along those same lines, I'd like to recognize Deputy Chief, Acting Deputy Chief Bill Beebe. He's not in the room; we ran out of space, but he's done a wonderful job. He's been executing on a grant for officer training, and just wanted to commend him that our training hours went up by 100% in the last month. So our folks under his watch have certainly been very busy, and our folks have been very cooperative with that. We made one last hire for our last vacancy. His name is Chris Gard. He is a licensed paramedic, and he is starting the academy, and that will fill all of our vacancies for the first time as far back as anyone in the fire department can remember. So we're pretty proud of that. And we also have an eligibility list, so our outreach efforts have been successful. So we're prepared. We will be having three new employees and Chris Gard, and a promotion recognized at a ceremony on December 20th. I know we canceled one and forgot to tell a few folks. Sorry, Chief. But we'll try and make sure that is known. Again, we're trying to improve our efforts to make sure that we're recognizing employees. And along the lines of recognizing Dan from our fire department, IT is in the back. He's been instrumental in getting this room together, so I appreciate that. And also Bob McHugh is back there. We are celebrating the end of our fourth CERT class, which is almost 160 people trained in that, and we've had some notable people attending that, and it was nice to see them graduate. So our new staff members. At the risk of going any longer, I will stop and say thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and turning it back over for any questions.
Thank you, Chief Priest, for that report. Does anybody have any questions or comments for the chief? Councilor Cortez.
I just want to say, as usual, thank you guys for what you guys do in the community. It's been a busy. It was a tragic month, with the fire, but the professionalism you guys, have throughout, and not just the fire, but the PD as well. It's just to be able to see you guys out there doing your thing and engaging with the public. It's great, and I'm proud to be living in this town. And thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you, Councilor Cortez. Councilor Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief Priest, for the shout out. I'm very glad to be back on the Public Safety Committee. I thoroughly enjoy working with everyone involved in the activities and the circumstances concerning both the police and the fire department. I would say that the level of professionalism is reflected and appreciated through our community. I've spoken to quite a few residents over the past few months who are quite appreciative that we have a professional fire department, and our police officers treat people with dignity and respect. And in light of today's circumstances, those are things we cannot really put a price tag on. So, as it's been said often, one of the top reasons people choose to live in our community, in addition to excellent schools and a great place to live, is the fantastic professional public safety services that are offered and rendered by the personnel in the department. And as we often say, when you pick up the phone to dial 911, there will be somebody there on the other end to professionally answer your call and to get those services rendered in a very rapid fashion to address the emergency situation. So I know we say a lot of things and use a lot of words, but when I hear from other members in the community saying one of the things that they're most proud about in West Hartford are the men and women who serve in our public safety department, it's reassuring, and it's really nice to hear. Since your last meeting, we did recognize a police officer of the year, And I thought that recognition by the American Legion was very well done. And I don't think it's a surprise to anyone, but I'm a big advocate for recognizing service well done. And I think that we do a good job of it. And it shows people that it's just not a job or a career, it's making a difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor David Oven. Well said. I do have a few questions though for you, Chief Priest. One, I want to congratulate you on filling all of the vacancies because I know that was one of your goals. So, job well done. And then the other question that I have for you is after fires and such as the one that just occurred, and you do the outreach to the folks in the community, I'm curious to learn, are there any type of common questions that the neighbors or other community members may have for the fire department?
Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, I'm going to have Assistant Chief Hugh O'Callahan answer that question. He runs point on this with members of our fire marshal's office when the program was designed and does a lot with executing that. So, Chief.
Sure. So the common question is people want to know what happened to the at the fire. So we can give out very little information, but we coordinate with the fire marshal's office, Assistant Chief Grimaldi, who gives us speaking points. So just before we go out, we get into a huddle and we go over what we're going to talk about, so we're all on the same page. Then we go out and we answer as many questions as we can, but we try to give the information we're allowed to, and then we move right towards fire safety. And that's been very successful so far. And we take some of the information we get back and we add it to our cache of information, so that when we go out the next time, we're able to possibly add more information for the public, because it's a very big event for a neighborhood, and we know there's going to be a lot of questions, and we try to give them as much as we can to get them prepared for what happened and for the future. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Now, a follow-up question for you, Chief, or AC O'Callahan, is especially as we move into the colder months and colder temperatures, I know it's common for folks to use either a space heaters, electric heaters, that type of thing, especially or for folks in town that live in older houses where the house really doesn't retain the heat and it's a bit drafty. I'm wondering if once you go out and you provide that educational information, is there a number or some information that you leave with members of the community if they have some additional questions or follow up? What can they do at that point?
Yes, Madam Chair, that is correct. We do leave a flyer, and I would just open the door with your permission to allow Chief Grimaldi just to assist with some of the causes of fires, which I know heating are part of them, and some of our community outreach efforts that we've done in social media to communicate about fire safety coming into the heating months. So if it's okay through you, Madam Chair, maybe Chief Grimaldi could pick that one up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. Thanks, Chief Priest. So a lot of the fires that happen around the holidays, they're related to heating is a big source, alternative heating sources. There are combustibles, things like that. Cooking, obviously, candles, whether for religious purposes or other purposes. So as we come into this season, we're going to try to republish some of our PSAs from the past years that we've put out, and they're available on our website. And we'll just try to I'll work with Deputy Fire Marshal Adele, is pretty adept at putting stuff up online for our PSAs, and we want to try to have a greater outreach, right? So how do we get it across to people that it's there and available? Maybe through social media. So we've been looking at that as well, just to educate people. As Assistant Chief O'Callahan mentioned, when we go out and do these public outreach programs, we try to educate people, what the dangers are, especially in your own home. I think people get complacent after some amount of time. They're familiar with their own space, obviously, and they just need reassurances that we can provide them with methods to remain safe, right? So, again, the use of candles, having working smoke alarms in the home, be careful when you're cooking, never leave anything on a stovetop or in the kitchen cooking and walk away from it. These are all issues that we have evidence from past incidents, not only here but nationwide, that these are where the problems begin, and it's mainly due to complacency. So we just want to remind people. So we're going to try to update our PSAs regarding these facts and try to keep people safe.
Okay, thank you. And then back over to you, Chief Priest, in terms of the recruiting efforts. I know just sort of nationwide with many of the baby boomers retiring, I think it's referred to now as the Great Retirement, and we look at recruiting new folks. I'm just wondering, I know women are in the far and few in terms of the fire department profession, and also probably even fewer for women of color. Can you give me an idea? Because I know that you're, doing pretty big things in terms of recruiting folks, but what I'm looking at is as the more mature population decide to retire, how do we bring in or draw in some of our younger people to either participate in this profession, and in particular, people of color who wouldn't traditionally choose this profession as a career, and women?
Yes, ma'am. So, first of all, thank you so much for that question. As you know, going all the way back into March, of several years ago, we've discussed our acknowledgement of what our composition of our workforce looks like, and the efforts that we've taken systematically to go through and communicate the value of service, to remove barriers for folks of all different backgrounds, and to be inclusive in our hiring practices. We've started a recruitment committee, which has been very effective in trying to outreach, and we're trying to draw in members of the department who represent different backgrounds to be able to try and communicate that as well. I'm a firm believer, and you go to the experts and you go to best practices as well, which we know that there are many in the fire service. So we've also been working very closely with Rosanna Haskins and Adrian Billing-Smith in their new positions to both communicate what we've done to date, but also what we can do better in the future. And one of the positions that I referred to with Andrew Eccles' position in the community support officer, part of that job description was expanded so that we are making more focused efforts to be able to define, produce what we need to do moving forward. With specific regards to where we are in terms of a workforce, we do have some employees who are eligible to retire, but on a regular basis, we're canvassing those folks to determine whether or not we need to, plan for their ultimate retirement. But right now, in addition to other efforts to attract folks of all different backgrounds to come into the fire service who are ready to be employed, like coming right into this to be trained to move on to the line, our focus is now starting to go towards the youth, to show them that there are paths in these careers, to provide them with role models, mentors, to show them how to navigate into this career. I mean, we're really looking forward to using Andrew in that capacity as well, using the strengths and assets and advice of Rosanna and Adrian. And, just yesterday, Chief O'Callahan and I were discussing our budget requests in terms of how to fund summer camps and other outreach programs where we can really target into our community members. So, I hope that answers your question. There's a lot to that. I'd love to sit down sometime, and go over this more comprehensively, give you all of our statistics, which we're proud of, that we've made some strides there, more work to be done. But that concludes for now, unless you have anything more specific for me, ma'am.
Thank you, and I'll take you up on that, but no, that's perfect. That was the information I was looking for. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Chief. So we'll move on to Chief Riddick and the police department update.
Good morning. I'm going to go slightly off script and commend Chief Priest and his staff for their efforts for diversification. He and I have had numerous conversations on this matter. It's a challenge for both of our professions, but I think more so on the fire side. And I can just say, without getting into a lot of detail for private conversations, is he's not providing lip service. I know BS when I see it and when I'm around it, and Chief Priest is committed to this venture as well as his staff. So I want to thank him for confiding in me, for being willing to be vulnerable and just to make the ask. It says a lot about him, his character, and this administration. So thank you, Chief Priest. Uh, Moving to the PD side, we are not as great as the fire department. We're down to 2 vacancies. And if you remember, about a year and a half ago, we were up to about 15, and it was looking really bad for us. So to have 2, we have 7 recruits who are graduating over the next 2 weeks. This Friday, we have 4 graduating from the Meriden Police Academy, and then on the 15th, we have 3 additional graduating. So that's really good. And as a reminder, we don't get the net impact of these graduations. We have our field training process, which is about 12 weeks. So it takes a while to get that, but we're at a much better place than we were a year and a half ago. Pistol permits, November of 2021, we had 11 applications, and November of 2022, we had 18. The breakdown were 8 men and 4 women for this year. Year to date, in 2021, pistol permit applications was 563 in 2021, and this year we're down to 253. Notable police activities. Well, we get into motor vehicle accidents, and Counselor Davidoff, you had mentioned, and I'm just anecdotally, the increase in the accidents near the Route 9. We have to understand we're still coming out of COVID in 2021. And when you look at the 2021 numbers, the amount of traffic is on the highways wasn't as it is now. So you have increased traffic flow going. And this is evident in our numbers too. So in November of 2021, the town experienced 194 motor vehicle accidents, and we had 111 motor vehicle stops. And in November of 2022, we have an increase to 226 motor vehicle stops, but we also increased exponentially to 391 motor vehicle stops. So again, without sifting too much, that just tells me more cars on the road, more opportunities for things to occur. Year to date through November 2021, we had 2,228 motor vehicle stops. And year to date, November of 2022, again, significant increase, 4,192 motor vehicle stops. And we have 57 DUI arrests year to date. In our written report that we submitted yesterday, there's several notable incidents. I'm just going to highlight a couple. On December 5th, our officers were dispatched a motor vehicle accident. It was a hit and run. Car ran into a telephone pole and the operator took off. Dispatched our K9. Our K9 was able to utilize a successful track and get the operator and arrest him, which is very good. Our task force officer, Detective Dazinski, observed a stolen motor vehicle on the hot sheet. He provided surveillance, reached out to other task force members who were able to box in the vehicle and take the occupant into custody without any significant uses of force. Our flock camera system that we've had in place for about 6 or 7 months now. We had a flock hit, and again, utilizing our officers as well as task force members, we're able to converge on the individual and to safely take him into custody without any pursuits or injuries. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we were able to really, on November 14th of this year, we had a house burglary that occurred on Balfour Drive. We got in the area quick when our officers was alert, conducted a motor vehicle stop, and there were 2 suspects with merchandise and items from the house inside the vehicle. Great detective work later on. We actually tied these individuals to a larger ring on the northeastern coast, which also tied into another residential burglary that occurred on Colony. We were able to secure an arrest warrant and extradition. We caught the individual in New York working with Nassau County, and we picked him up a couple days ago, and he has a bond of $500,000. That's still an ongoing investigation. We're looking to additional leads as far as additional burglaries that have occurred in town. But that was a really good grab by our officers. Our detectives worked tirelessly to tie these cases in, to get some. There was huge language barriers. We got some good statements, and that's really good old-fashioned police work tied in with newfound technology. So I'm very, very happy the professionalism and dedication of our personnel. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Riddick. That was an excellent report, very informative, and really spoke to a lot of the crimes, especially the burglaries that are happening in and around town. Before I ask you my questions, I'll defer to the committee members and ask if you all have any questions or comments. Councilor Cortez?
No questions on my end, Council. No questions.
Okay. So Chief Riddick, in terms of some of the, well, let me start with some of the this motor vehicle stops. Are you seeing any patterns in terms of either the accidents or the stops, such as young people, cell phone, other type of distracted driving? That's my first question.
Yeah, anecdotally, without being prepared to answer that right now, I think that's definitely part of it, without question. People, these newfound vehicles, there's everything in there. They're mobile offices in these cars, and people are just not paying attention. So I definitely think that's part of it, without question.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of the burglaries, I know homeowners can never be too careful, and I know most of us try to do everything to secure our property. Do you have any recommendations or suggestions, especially as we move into the holiday season? And I guess not just for homeowners, but for businesses as well. And I remember a few meetings back, you mentioned that the PD do try to assist businesses in terms of evaluating and doing an assessment of their security. Can you speak to a little to that? I know the last one was I think it was Whole Foods.
Yes, there's a couple things. One, cameras are always helpful. And I'm not endorsing a product, but
Mhm,
a low-cost item is the Ring camera. It gives you alerts.
mhm.
Secondly, I know this sounds corny, but it's so relevant and it's productive and true. See something, say something. We're officers coming through different neighborhoods. Yeah, we get a feel and a vibe, but if you live in a location, you can sort of feel if something's not right and if something is out of sorts. So if you have that funny feeling in your stomach, which I like to call the sixth sense, give us a call. Now, suspicious doesn't mean based upon ethnicity, race, or gender. It should be based upon activity. If you see someone, looking around and then going behind a neighbor's yard, or looking into vehicles, well, that's not normal activity. And there's nothing to do with race, ethnicity, or gender with that. It's the actions. Give us a call. We'd be more than happy to come out. Something else, very simple, lock your doors. People, West Hartford is a very safe community, and sometimes that safety, it lulls you in to self-security, but people are going to come where they're going to come to do what they're going to do. So you need to take some basic measures, lock your doors, pull your shades down, just simple things along those lines. And of course, buy an alarm.
Thank you, Chief Priest. I'm sorry, Chief Riddick. All very good points. And I bring that up because it seems like every year is sort of the same thing. And I know many of us may need reminders, we forget or become distracted. But then, the worst happens because maybe we forgot, like you said, the door locked. Sometimes we are rushing or doing so many different things and we forget. And sometimes it's best just to take that time out and turn back and double check. Maybe you did lock the door, but you don't remember you did. But instead of going away trying to figure out whether you did it or not, just kind of double back and check to make sure that you did that, or secure your windows, or what have you. Like you said, um, try not to make it obvious. If you have a key fob, make sure that you have the key fob with you and you don't accidentally leave it in the car. So thank you for providing those tips and the report as well. So just to you all as public safety leaders, just all around, just thank you for what you do. Like Counselor Davidoff said, you can't put a price tag on it, and there's no price tag on life or the loss of it. So if we can do everything in our power to be prevention, to be proactive and to prevent something from happening. We should all grasp towards that and embrace it, and also to be good neighbors. You talked about some of the old-fashioned stuff. I know back in the day, they said the best neighbor is when you're not at home and the other folks who are home make sure that they watch out and just make that telephone call. Even if it's nothing, have the telephone call made and have patrol come through. And once that happens, that's the biggest deterrence of all. So again, just a thank you to everyone for what you bring each and every day. Because like I said, you all are humans as well, and you have families. I know a lot of times people just look at you all as gods and you could do everything. But I think we have to remember that you're human as well, and you bleed red like everybody else. So again, thank you for what you do. Um, if there isn't anything else, we can move to future agenda items. I don't know if any of the committee members want to put something on the agenda for the next meeting. If so, let's hear it. Counselor Davidoff?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think that it would be important for the Public Safety Committee and perhaps the entire council as a whole to view our public safety facilities, the new emergency command center, as well as our 5 firehouses. I know that in my 15 years of being on the council, without me doing it myself, there's never been a structured tour of our firehouses, and I think that might be helpful before we go into budget season to get a better understanding as to what our infrastructure looks like with respect to that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I agree. And I know I've spoken to Chief Priest about that for myself. So again, perhaps we can work on putting some type of scheduled invite out for others. I could work with you, Rick, to make that happen sometime in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. We will arrange for that to happen. Probably wait till, since it's our last meeting in 2022, we will arrange for that in early 23 to have visits to each of the 5 stations as well as the police station as well. You may recall back in June, we did a similar tour with our Public Works Facilities and Sustainability Committee as we did a tour of Brixton Street and our Public Works campus. So we can arrange to have do the same thing for our fire facilities and police facilities. Excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Riddick?
Yeah, I think one idea, or one suggestion, we've been almost a year or so with the CPRB. Maybe we could have the chair come and just give her thoughts and some insights on the complaints that she's reviewed and the committee's reviewed. I think that would be very helpful for the Public Safety Committee.
Okay, thank you, Chief Riddick. That's a great idea. So perhaps we can have her on the agenda for the next meeting.
We can do that, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cortez, did you have anything that you wanted to place on the agenda for the next meeting?
Probably possibly talk about more what thinking ahead, what community policing will look like for the summer, to have a little more presence in certain neighborhoods, and what that would look like, and just kind of thinking ahead instead of having a knee-jerk reaction down the road.
Okay, Thank you, Counselor Cortez.
Okay, through you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Chief Riddick. Keep saying please because your
I'm in
name,
his house. I understand. I understand. I'm in his house. I get it.
you know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean,
don't have.
Chief Riddick.
I don't think we have to wait for the next meeting for that. I can provide that now. Community policing is ongoing. It's not seasonal. We will change strategy based upon the season, and that's just based upon activity. So we really don't wait. We're very proactive. Staffing is an issue. Again, when I say that, we'll only have 2 vacancies, but again, don't forget that net impact of that is we're actually probably down to about 119 or so active folks. We get some people on workman's comp and everything else. But we have 2 officers assigned to the center, and they also go to Blueback. We also have people assigned to Troutbrook Trail. We get over to Hillcrest. So we're out there. Our goal is to have, a third of an officer's time in patrol to be dedicated to proactive community policing and 2/3 just responding to calls. That's our goal. We haven't quite achieved it yet, but we do have some plans in place to help us to get to that end.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you for that. I appreciate it. And the fact that you haven't achieved goal and you guys are still very present in the winter months, leading into winter months, I appreciate it.
Over to you, Counselor Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that Chief Riddick, you should take great pride in the fact that you're only down to 2 vacancies. That is an amazing accomplishment in such a short period of time. So while Chief Priest may say that he's at 0, I would say that from my viewpoint, it's pretty equal there. So I would commend both you gentlemen for doing that. And then, Madam Chair, I would respectfully request that our committees meet possibly at the 8 o'clock start time in the morning. That would be a lot more beneficial to me. Sorry that I'm on my phone, but it's kind of hard in the middle of my day here to, believe it or not, it is the middle of the day. To start at 9:30. So if that would be fine with our chiefs and everyone else, I would really appreciate the accommodation if we could move it to an 8 o'clock start time.
Okay, thank you for that, Counselor Davidoff. So I would just suggest if that time works for all of the leadership as well as the other committee members, I am definitely okay with the time change.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We, and to Mr. Davidoff's point, the chair and I had discussed this a few days ago. We had to use the 9:30 time this morning for this particular month, but our plan is for starting in January to move this meeting routinely to 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank you.
Okay. So if there isn't anything else, no other questions or comments, we stand adjourned. And enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the week and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.